What's happening, Flow State Jedis? Today I'm speaking about trusting your own process. Let's get it.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Greetings, my name is Sumet Chatterjee, Flow Mashkaram and Flow Stay, the Flow in me sees the Flow in you. I'm a Flow State guide, so I help people feel better and perform better. I'm bringing in this new paradigm of mindful peak performance. You see, a lot of the peak performance industry is very toxic. It's very related to workaholism and hustle. It gets to a point that it's really unhealthy. I really wanted to speak about this because, I never really had positive male role models that I looked up to. Of course, there were like movies and different things that I was inspired by, but there was not really any level of me understanding that part of myself. And so I grew up being more sensitive, being more in my feminine, in a sense, in my own feminine nature. And it was only when I started to grow older that I started to connect more with the masculine, more with the groundedness, more with that sense of purpose, you see. And I've started to notice that no matter what coaches, mentors I've hired, no matter what courses and programs I've done, and this is countless, right? I've done so much healing, so much, courses, so much preparation, so many certifications, so many, different things. Come to a point where I realize I've got to trust myself. I've got to trust in my own process. No matter what the outside world is giving me, there is this subjective reality that you got to trust in. Because if you don't trust in you, who else is going to do that for you? If you don't trust in you, others don't trust in you. So you got to back yourself. So the one thing that I want you to realize is your process does not look like anybody else's. Okay? Doesn't look like Tony Robbins, doesn't look like Gary Vee's, doesn't look like, Seth Godin, right? Doesn't look like Jay Shetty's, doesn't look like, and I can keep going with this, but the point is, it's very clear. Your process is administered and designed in such a way that it works for you. If you can actualize that, optimize that, lean into that, trust in that. So let's say that you have a training in Wim Hof. You could do the training, you could learn it online, you can, talk to some practitioners, you can get on a podcast and speak about it. There's so many ways to go about this, right? Let's say you want to be the topmost Wim Hof expert in the world, okay? At one level, it's just about your connection to your breath, your connection to the cold or the ice, and the therapeutic benefits, right? Of course, Wim Hof was the administrator who kind of, came along and he presented this as his own theory and his own understanding because he's able to do it and control his nervous system, and then he's been through this process and now he's sharing his process. And yes, I understand that. But there's also a level where you are a human connecting with the cold, which is getting you more present to the moment. There are certain people who come along and they administer a process and they're like, hey, this is all mine. This is how I'm doing it. Now that's great. Actually, that's what is aligned to that person. They're sharing their own process. But if you just follow their process, you miss out on your own sometimes. You see? You will actually drop what you're doing and drop what you are doing, so you're actually not giving yourself compassion. You're dropping your own process, right, to adopt somebody else's. And that's completely fine. Like, so certain processes work for other people, right? You see, a leader's got to know where they're leading their tribe towards. Like, what is the ultimate journey of that, right? Where are they going towards? What is the process? And if you're unclear about that, then you're really starting to be at a disadvantage to yourself, right? You start being critical of yourself in a certain sense. However, what I've noticed is the more autotelic you can be with it. Autotelic is a word in flow state technology, which means it's a reward by itself, okay? You're doing it and it feels good. And It feels good because you're adding something, you're giving something. And I think there's an ultimate power to you trusting your process, but also sharing your process with the world. You know, my process has been evolving, like over the many years that I've worked on my own journey, you could say, my spiritual growth and my spiritual and personal growth process. And there are certain tools that I firmly believe in will get you where you need to go. And again, this is my process. So I have to say, it's not going to be the same for you. But this is what has helped me. So I'm sharing a little of my process. If you'd like to know more about that, you can shoot me a message, get into contact with me, and then we can talk further about it. So I've been using breath work. I've been using a combination of mind-altering techniques such as the Silva method, different kinds of meditation where you're able to control your breath, different pranayamas and different breath works, different mantras and different affirmations, in terms of also using subliminals and learning from the hidden subconscious world a lot. I've done a lot of subconscious reprogramming, actually training myself to be in a flow state. Also, I've been doing a lot of work in terms of character development and acting and TPM, using different avatars and different versions of you. This is all parts work in a sense, which is actually shadow work, right? So once we understand the different parts of ourselves, we can actually start to incorporate, like, what are some ways in which we can see the shadow of that, right? Like, for instance, the shadow of the hermit is the jester, in a sense. So it's really important that you recognize all of these, right? I've also done a lot of work around energy and energy medicine. I primarily got into that. I'm very skeptical, okay, already. I'm kind of a bit like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I always put myself through the experiment. I believe that life is a performance art piece, and this is all experimental. This is all an illusion. And it's important for you to recognize that first of all, this is all illusion, and you're a spiritual being first. Of course, I have CBT knowledge, I'm doing an NLP course right now, all of this kind of stuff, right? Different techniques, and I incorporate some of that tech into my own. Of course, there's a lot of tech that I've gotten from different mentors that I've had and things like this. And I think that primarily what's helped me is really splitting it up into health, wealth, relationships. When I can split it up into these three and then look at all the tools that I'm using for these, now I've created a system. You see, all of this stuff, I'm the integrator, so I'm the web weaver. So I just want to squeeze the juice, the ecstasy of the moment, the experience, and simplify it. So what I did a while back, I took all these quizzes, right? Myers-Briggs, this, that, and I put it on a giant list, I remember. And I came to the conclusion of one word from all of that, you see? So this is the level of integration. We're going from here to here. Okay, so that's the chipping down process. That's the refining. What connects this and this? What overlaps with this and this? You're always finding the overlap, right, in this process. And I think all great artists, academicians even, or scientists, or prophets, or technology wizards, whatever, you have a process of integration. You have a process of assimilating different things together and optimizing it according to your capabilities, your beliefs, your values, your mindset, and all of that, right? There's the mental, there's the physical, there's the emotional, and there's the energetic or the spiritual as well, right? Once we understand that, we can then start to take power over our own experiences, yes? That yes, maybe I am lacking a little bit in the physical, or I am lacking a little bit in the spiritual. I don't know what to do, where to start. And this is where you start to get more clarity, and this is where you actually start to invent and be inventive. Now, the problem with being an inventor or pioneer is you're gonna get the most arrows thrown at you, right? Which is something that I've, understood for a very long time. So, feel free to challenge me. Feel free to, be skeptical of my process. I know what I'm doing. I'm just sharing that with you. So when you are going about assimilating, integrating, creating, if it is mentionable, it is manageable. This is Mr. Rogers quote, okay? It's a Mr. Rogers quote. If it's mentionable, it is manageable. And if you take away from your humanity, it doesn't seem right, okay? But once you align with your own sense of worthiness, humanity, essence, thankfulness, you free yourself of the chains of your mind. And you don't project anymore. I was projecting for a long time in my spiritual journey, and I was just, taking it out on others for a long time. I got something overly critical said about it, rah, rah, rah. And I think that now, after doing a lot of work around this, I'm starting to notice the value of staying present. I'm starting to notice now the value of just being in my essence, being in my awareness, being more tuned or tapped into what's going on around me, what's going on within me, what's going on around me. Ultimately, we all want some sense of fortitude or strength to move forward. But life shows us otherwise, you see. Life shows us that, no, the opposite is happening sometimes. But we fall for that. We fall for the narrative of the illusion. And we get trapped there. So, let's become consciousness engineers. Let's start to understand this process better. I'm now doing a lot of research into different books that I've gotten, that I've been aligned to read, and I'm muscle testing for my books and seeing which ones really truly align with me. And I'll be letting you guys know if I, proceed further into any of that. Coming forward, I will be hosting a Flow State book club. So if you are interested in the book club, we can read certain books that are applicable to flow, more ones that aren't so commonly known, not like Stealing Fire or The Rise of Superman or Flow itself by Csikszentmihalyi. But these are more unknown books on flow, and they're going to really, really help you. If you're on this flow state journey, these books are really going to help you. So, if you're interested in that book club, shoot me a message. I can add you to the Telegram group. And then from there, we'll start reading. We'll take it, a book a month to really, really hone in on it and talk about it the entire month. And yeah, from there, we'll start stacking our wins, stacking our philosophy. You already know what it is. Upward Spiral Gang, may we never be the same again. May the flow be with you. And stay legendary. Let's get it today. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Let's get it.